You guys, welcome to Outpaceme. This is a podcast specifically for people that are, you know what, if you catch my attention, I want to know what's going on. Like that's, I run at a pretty fast pace. And when I see people that really intrigue me or else I want to hang out with them because they're cooler than me, well, that's why we created this space. Who I'm with today is Chad Mathis. Chad, welcome to Outpaceme.
Howdy.
Howdy. All right. So how did we meet?
It was it would have been back in like 2017, right?
Yeah.
Whenever it was through a friend that, I had just moved here from South Carolina, and me and my family did, and we were trying to find a place to stay, and I just had a friend connect me with you. But
that's cool. Yeah. So houses do that to people. They bring people together, especially with other cool people. So you moved here. So, do you know that I was in South Carolina for a long time?
No.
Yeah.
No, you said that Charleston, right?
Yeah, I was stationed in Charleston for 7 years, and worked on big heavies there. What were you doing there?
So I was a part of two different units there. I was part of Mouse 31, which is like a back shop aviation logistics unit.
Okay.
We worked on like F-18 parts and stuff like that, and then from there I moved to an F-35 training squadron. It was more or less for about a year until I caught orders down to Texas. So I wasn't at the F-35 squadron too long, but
okay. So F-35 where? In South Carolina?
That was in Beaufort as well, in South Carolina.
Really? They'd already ramped up and going, huh?
It was still like at that point it was still a training squadron, so they were not deployable yet. They could do like training detachments throughout the world and stuff like that, but we were still training. And then actually at that time we had the UK forces with us. They were integrated so that they could learn how to stand up their own F-35 units and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. So it sounds like you're in the Air Force.
The Air Force of the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. All my Marine friends, I'm kidding. But no, Chad is in the Marines. He just got promoted to Staff Sergeant. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Appreciate that.
How did you get there? What did you do to get to Staff Sergeant? That's a big deal. It really is.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was really surreal for me, I guess. It's like one of those things when you first join and you see, like sergeants and staff sergeants and gunnery sergeants walking around, it really seems pretty far away from where you're at that time when you're just private first class. When that finally happened, whenever I got selected last year, I was like, wow, it was crazy.
Wait a second. So is it just you time and grade and you get the rank?
Oh, no. That's so, I went on recruiting duty for some time.
They
right?
don't.
So, yeah, I mean, for whenever when you're just doing your job day in and day out in the Marine Corps, it's hard to stand out until you go out and do some extra things. And, you got drill instructor duty, you have recruiting duty, you have embassy guard duty, all these things. Combat training, it's something that you can volunteer for, and it just helps you. It gives you a chance to stand out amongst your peers.
So it's is it a point system?
There is a point system to it, but there's also it's called fitness reports where you have to basically kind of write your own. It's actually really weird. You like chart yourself up. You're like, oh, I did all this and this and this. And then it's going to go to your officer and it's in charge of you, your reporting officer. And they're going to observe it. They're going to look over it and they're going to write their own comments on that kind of stuff. And then it's going to go to his reporting senior on top of that. And basically it's just a bunch of people looking you over and seeing where you fall into line with your peers.
Got it.
They're literally ranking you like playing cards.
If you've ever worked corporate America, he's basically writing all his performance reports every year for himself.
Yes, exactly.
And that's how you get rank in military. Just kidding.
And you have to run fast, shoot good, and all the basic stuff.
That's the easy stuff.
Exactly.
It's really writing those papers.
Those are the hard part.
How many times did I say the word allocation?
Yeah.
It's totally. I remember.
What does that even mean?
So I think the Air Force called them EPRs, and the one thing that we didn't have was necessarily we had some computer mock-up for fitness, but it wasn't like we had to put on running shoes and go out to the field and run 3 miles. Mm-hmm. I think they would have killed half the force if they would have made them do that. I mean, sorry guys, but that's really true. There's a bunch of overweight older guys. Well, that's cool, man. So you the rank structure for Staff Sergeant in the Marines is what?
E6.
6. Okay, so that's Tech Sergeants for Air Force. Mm-hmm. I've got my Staff Sergeant Air Force Daniels thing from off the base housing thing that I had.
Right on.
stole it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably weren't supposed to take that.
I don't know. I might
It has
sell
your
it.
name on it.
I'm gonna sell it on eBay and get put in jail for a year or two. I know guys that did that. They actually stole like parts.
Oh, yeah.
And then like put them online, and you're like, what is wrong with you?
Dumbest thing you could possibly
Holy
do.
moly!
Might as well
Okay.
just telling yourself.
Yeah.
Look what I did.
Arrow Eric. Yeah. Okay. So you get promoted, but inside of that space where I really want to dive deep, and this is where Outpaceme comes in. My concern is that I think you're glazing over a lot of effort and work that you put in to help people. Let's pretend that we've got a guy that's coming up. Let's at E3. Okay. And he's coming in and he's watching you from afar, and you're probably supervising this guy, right? And he's watching you from afar. You become a mentor in your space, especially because excellence above self and everything, right?
Right.
In fact, what is the core motto? Excellence in all we do is the Air Force's thing.
Honor, courage, commitment, or semper fidelis, which basically
Right.
just Latin for always faithful.
Always faithful. I always love that. So thank you for serving, dude. That's a big deal, especially Marines.
Appreciate you.
Whew, that's a good one. I don't know. I'd probably go back to Marines if I did it over again.
Really?
I still have nightmares/dreams about basic training. Like, I want to go back so bad.
Oh, I always tell people that same thing. If they came and said, "Hey, Staff Sergeant Mathis, do you want to go back to recruit training?" I first think I'm keeping my rank, but I would love to go back there. It would be honestly, it'd be a blast at this point. Everything I know, I could just mess with those drill instructors.
How much of that? I was going to say, how much of that is mindset? Like,
oh my gosh, it would be hilarious.
They would have some leg up on you because you couldn't ever take an order from these guys. You'd outrank them.
I would be the biggest pain in the ass they've ever seen.
So on that note, Outpaceme is a bunch of pain in the asses in the world. That's good. Okay, so let's go back to your all kidding aside, the attributes to get you to where you get promoted and people start recognizing who you are. What happened over the past 2 or 3 years inside of Fort Worth that maybe have escalated your promotional growth?
Well, I would say the biggest thing that, and it kind of goes back to what you said, like I'm talking to a Lance Corporal in E3.
Yeah.
And this is something I've told many Marines, find a mentor, right? Mm-hmm. So military is one of the few places that I believe in the world that you can, within your first couple of years, you're going to come across many, many leaders. You're going to come across different leadership styles, different, everybody does it a little differently. Yeah. Well, during, when you're going through that, you're going to have some leaders that made you feel good, some leaders that earned your respect, some leaders that, hey, even when they weren't looking and watching you, you were probably still giving them 100% effort just because you respected them and something about the way that they did business. And then you're going to also come across the opposite of that. I just always said you can learn from both, but it's really good to find a mentor or maybe two, and really focus on what they did that inspired you or made you want to work for them, made you want to be better, and then pay close attention to the things that they did that made you feel that way, and then try and start to emulate that in your own way, right? You have to kind of make it your own, but at the same time, like if you can find those guys that were just doing it right, it worked for you, then it probably wasn't just you. And then at the same time, you're paying attention to the ones that didn't make you feel that way, the ones that didn't do it the right way, and then focus on their mistakes, and then also be mindful of that when you're going through it. And you just doing that on a couple of years in a row, or 4 years or 8 years, doesn't matter how long you serve, the compounds that's going to do for you is going to be pretty incredible.
How long have you been in?
This month is actually 8 years.
8 years, nice.
May 15th.
That was a weird moment for me to hit 7 and be like, I'm out, because it was scary. I bet. I mean, you've been there. Like, yes. Do I re-up? Can I survive outside of this space? Do I want to survive out of this space?
Right.
Because the mentorship happens so much more organic inside of military than it does on the outside.
It does. Because
you and I resonate, and it's not because of military, believe it or not. It's because we both respect, I don't know, we like each other's game. And, I've always been a big fan of yours because I want to see you progress, always. And I do want to tell the story of what you did. So he went from airplanes to recruiting. And that's part of kind of the gig for you guys, isn't it? At some point, you have to kind of step in either the recruiting role or something else.
You're gonna have to get uncomfortable at one point in time. It's gonna go. You could be an administrative guy, and you might find yourself on the drill instructor field having to turn recruits into Marines, or you could be a guy that was like me, and we were always outside working on airplanes, and now I'm, doing more of an administrative job as far as processing civilians that want to do something crazy with their life, like join the Marine Corps.
It's crazy. Okay, so let's get into your story. So why the promotion really? Like, you had to have done something recently that pushed, like, okay, here's a better question. The excellence that you're showing right now, how did you do that in the past year?
So, came on recruiting duty, and I'll say this: I underestimated the heck out of recruiting duty. I went in thinking, okay, this is going to be a couple years of sitting behind a desk, going to some high schools, and no, recruiting duty is hands down the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. And the first couple of months where it tested me, tested my work ethic, tested my drive, and I had to basically look myself in the mirror and say, look, if the juice has got to be worth the squeeze if it's this hard. So I just kind of sucked it up, put my nose to the grindstone, and it paid off the first year. I won a couple of awards for recruiting and stuff, but I ended up winning Rookie Recruiter of the Year for my RS, for my recruiting station of Fort Worth, which is it's about 77,000 square miles of recruiting effort across the state of Texas. And
you got the Recruiter of the Year for there.
Yeah, Rookie Recruiter of the Year, which is basically somebody who's in their first year. You're competing with all the other first-year recruiters. It's your eval cycle.
How many people did you compete against? You guys?
It's pretty hard to say, really.
All of them.
I would say, well, yeah, you are competing against all the recruiters, but within the rookie eval cycle, I would say anywhere between 20 to maybe 35.
Wow. And you got them.
I won it. And I honestly didn't see it coming. I was just doing my job. I was really just doing day in, day out stuff. When you're recruiting duty, you're a part of an office.
Yeah.
I was a part of RSS Mansfield. I actually worked at my own office in Cleburne, Texas, but that's your team, you know? And one of the things that I think that's helped me out a lot too is I'm team oriented.
Yeah.
To where if I'm a part of a team, I don't want to be the guy that lets them down. It kills me. And a little bit of competitive nature in me too. So if you tag those things together, you're on a team and you want to win. And, I was like, I just grinded for a year. I was going to work 8 a.m., getting home 10, 11 p.m.
I remember that. And you bought a motorcycle to do it in to save some cash, right?
Yeah, it was an hour.
Save cash.
It was cool too. But yeah, really, I was driving from, White Settlement, west side of Fort Worth area, all the way to Cleburne, Texas daily. It's 2 hours on the road every day, and I had a Tacoma at the time, which is not known for gas mileage. So.
Yeah, it's not.
No, it's not. So
I've owned a few of those.
Yeah. I bought a motorcycle. It was cool for a year. I ended up selling it recently. Yeah, I sold the Harley, and
okay.
Yeah, just because now I'm driving to Arlington, and there's no way in heck I'm driving.
What's the commute like now?
It's about 35 minutes. It's actually Pantego.
Oh yeah,
it's like a little
We used to go to church up there, Pantego Bible Church or something.
Yeah,
up there by the Lowe's. Okay, so you flexed pretty hard in your first year, and you actually and you recruited for how long? You've been recruiting for.
I want to say about 16 months, and I've been on the duty now for probably 19, 20 months now.
Okay, cool. All right, it seems longer.
It does. Well, because you go to school first, which doesn't count towards your time.
Okay.
So you go to you have to go to San Diego for 3 months. It's terrible, I know. But you go to San Diego for 3 months, and
I remember that. It
was a tough time, I'd say.
Yeah, I saw it on Facebook. It looked awful.
It was terrible. You go out there for 3 months, and you learn the job of recruiting, and then that was like the height of COVID too. So we even had to do a couple weeks of like quarantine on each end of that.
Yeah.
So you go out there for 2 weeks. They literally locked me in like a barracks room where they would come and drop off 3 meals a day, and you didn't get to leave.
Shut up.
2 weeks of quarantine. It was. I will say for like the first few days, I was like, this isn't even that bad, but I was going crazy by like the week and a half
Lots
point.
of
I was like,
push-ups.
I got to get out of this room. Oh yeah, we were
We
doing.
should have had
And
like
you
a
had a roommate.
camera on that. That would have been amazing.
Could have been. Oh god,
That guy's
I don't know if you
insane.
really want that actually.
Yeah.
Well, we had a roommate, so it was either 2 or 3 of
Yeah.
you in a room, and yeah, guys were getting stir crazy. It was 2-week quarantines were fun, and then but at least on the way back when we got done with recruiting school, we still had to do like a 2-week quarantine before we were allowed to check into our unit, but that was at our personal houses. So
Okay, cool.
just
Wow. Okay, so your responsibility level from moving from Cleburne to Arlington,
Oof.
what does that look like?
So in Cleburne, I was recruiting. I had my own office. So, and like I said, typically when you're recruiting, you're in a office with maybe 3 or 4 other recruiters and a boss. Out in Cleburne, I was solo.
Dude, you were so solo.
It,
I remember hang on, your desk was amazing. It had camo all the way, all around. It was so cool. We actually did a video out there. It was pretty neat.
yeah. All the high schools have seen it out there.
Yeah, no kidding. That was really cool, by the way. Did you ever stay in touch with the Gold's Gym guy?
Yes.
How'd that go?
So he's not there anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I tried to get a shout out, but it didn't work out.
Yeah. No, they were actually super supportive. Gold's Gym. I think when he left that gym, the new owner Donna, shout out to Donna. She's awesome. She would let all my guys come in and work out. I mean, they said it was like Mondays and Wednesdays, but they were literally so lenient with them. They would come and tell me like on a random Saturday, just left World's Gym, and I was like,
is it Gold's Gym or World's Gym?
it was World's Gym.
Sorry.
And
Sorry, Donna.
Yeah, just left World's Gym, and I was like, y'all aren't supposed to be there on Saturday. And they're like, oh, I don't know, I wear my police shirt, and they let me in. I'm like,
That's hilarious.
they were great though.
So how did that help? Okay, so local relationships supporting the business. Like, not only don't think of it just as military, even though we all want. Like, by the way, you got that whole gig because you're military. But but let's go back to your office. One desk and this rusty ass. Like, dude, I'm surprised half the recruits didn't show up for lockjaw in basic training.
Oh, it was my shithole. I loved it.
Oh. Dude, you had no spending. And meanwhile, the Air Force guys were like vacuuming with Roombas and just floating through with their cappuccinos. And that's not what happened. But no, I mean, it was bare bones. Mm-hmm. It was hideous, actually.
I made it kind of cool, though, with the camo and stuff on the flag.
Yeah. You needed World's Gym, Donna. You needed it. Did the recruits actually benefit from that?
Oh yeah, 1,000%. It was fantastic. It was great. That just having, because if you don't have something like that, like you said, there's not really a whole lot of money allocated. We had some weights at the office, but you're working out. You saw the office is small. If not, you have to meet up at a local park, and you can do a lot. I mean, endless opportunities when you're at a park, but especially in the heat of summer and in Texas, and then we have our ice storms and stuff like that around this area. It just benefits to have an indoor facility at that caliber. I mean, yeah,
I just can't. Yeah, I can't believe. I mean, that's not a cheap ordeal, and they just gave it to you.
Oh no, yeah,
that's so cool. Well, again, World's Gym. Sorry, not Gold's. World's in Cleburne. Donna, we're gonna tag you. Big, huge shout out to keep those guys in shape before they go to basic training, or in your case, boot camp, as they call it. Okay, so what are you reading these days?
Just finished Ego is the Enemy.
Oh.
That one's pretty good. I audiobook it. I cheated it.
But. No, that is not cheating. if that's cheating, I'm screwed.
Fair enough. I'll take it. I actually audiobook 90% of the books I read because finding time to. I tried reading before bed and I just end up falling asleep.
Never finished?
Never finished. Read that one. Liked the first one a whole lot better.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah. The first book, well, I mean, maybe it was because I was a little bit desensitized to his way of writing. But the first book, I remember, like, it lit a fire under me. I mean, I ended up doing a half marathon and tore my patellar tendon running.
On that run?
Well, I don't know if it happened on the run or not, but I just started getting a lot of knee pain. And, I'm like, and it was just whatever. I did it on the run. And then we were actually doing like a training exercise at work one day, and I was like, man, my knee. And
Don't tell Goggins you said that.
yeah. So, but then I was actually a little nervous to read a second one. I was like, man, the first time I read his book, I ended up running a half marathon. I jacked my knee all up. He motivated me so much, and I was like, I'm gonna read the second one, but no telling what's gonna happen. But
that is really interesting. So, yeah, I'm reading a couple of weird side books, and actually books like you can handle. You know, I've got a few books that I read, but I do that thing where I'll have like a stack of 10 and I'll read through them. Not
right.
But this one I stuck with, and it's I'll think of it in a second. Unreasonable Hospitality is the name of the book, and I've given it to a couple of people now, and it's like they're on the same page. They're like, holy moly, like that's a whole new level. I didn't even think about it. So if you get a chance, it's really good. All right. So what's your favorite knife?
Well,
what brand?
Benchmade.
Oh, so you like this one?
Benchmade. I was looking at it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I don't normally buy the high manufactured brand names, but that's one that I had to have. I like the local stuff. I like the guy there's a guy named Knives Made by Nick, and I've got one that I ride with like it's my ride or die knife. It's in the car all the time.
Fixed or
it's fixed blade.
It's fixed blade.
Yeah. And I don't know if I can get that guy to make a couple more. I might reach out to you, Nick. It's a guy local in Fort Worth. He knocks them out. He'll do posts every so often. He'll show the shanks like in their raw form, and he'll show how they progress, and then they'll be sold out like that. And
wow.
he just gets on his Harley and disappears, and he comes back and does more.
What a badass!
Like you talk about facial hair god.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
it's incredible.
He has to if he rides a Harley.
I think you're right.
It's one of the reasons I sold mine. The Marine Corps. I tried with the mustache, but
right, exactly. All right, so you are married with children, and so am I. So that makes us brothers. High five. And I watch you guys. How do you guys pull the passion in between you and your wife? You're outdoors people, and your kids are like on board. Like probably they have no choice. I would imagine.
No.
Your daughter's the most adorable thing on the planet. She is so cool. But I mean, you have a daughter and a son that is just absolutely right there with you all the time.
They're solid. They're solid. We lucked out.
What are some things you guys are doing outside?
Right now, baseball. Baseball is full-fledged.
Yes.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, practice. Games are on Thursdays and Saturdays. And sometimes even more.
No.
It's been fun. This has been a good season. This is the first season that they're playing together. Max is my boy. He's been playing for the past couple of years.
Has he really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. So both of them are playing baseball now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Were you a baseball guy?
I did as a kid. I played Little League and I was into it, but it wasn't like my main thing. But Max, for whatever reason, he's obsessed, which is a good thing. Yeah, he's really, I guess, he's found his thing. I guess you can say he's found his own passion. He's always been into sports. He's played every sport there. I mean, he's done everything from wrestling, jiu-jitsu to football, baseball, basketball, track. I mean, soccer. He's played them all. He just found one he has a passion for, which I think is awesome. And Haven she's 6, so she's just kind of
okay.
She played soccer, and then now she wants to try t-ball. And I'm just kind of letting her do whatever she wants.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. Well, you guys like to go and do things outdoors as a family.
Oh yeah.
And like rock climbing is one that I saw. You guys are really big into that. And I'm not talking about enchanted rock where you walk up the face. I'm talking about like legit stuff. You guys are really into that. What is your wife like for outdoor stuff?
So we started. Her whole life she's been like backpacking, and she's done. I mean, she like grew up in Big Bend, the national park, and her dad was really into it, and so he would take them out. And so really, she's kind of the one that sparked that in me. I grew up camping and stuff like that,
right.
But I more grew up like I was a barn hand my whole life.
Really?
My dad was a racehorse trainer, so my whole life I was doing that kind of stuff outdoors, but not necessarily like going camping and hiking and stuff like that. We just fished, hunted, and all that kind of good stuff.
That's pretty rad. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
So you grew up around horses.
Oh yeah.
And Let me ask you this. So I do this occasionally. I do that thing where if I had somebody, I forget what it was. It's probably real, just to be honest with you. And they said, if you really want to address some of the, I don't know, fears or traumas in your life, picture your childhood door to your bedroom and knock on it, go in and sit down next to yourself and tell yourself why everything's going to be okay. And you're
Wow.
like, whoa, that's pretty deep. That's way too deep for this right now. But when I got to thinking about that, I was like, I can tell you like everything in the room. I can tell you exactly where I'm sitting. There's a bunk bed for me and my half brother, and the whole spiel. And what they say is when you sit down next to yourself and you're telling everything's going to be okay, you're basically covering all of your fears that are inside of you, saying, just reinforcing the fact that you made it, you're doing okay. And it basically covers or at least helps you facilitate that growth in you, which I thought was incredible. But if you sit down next to your 14-year-old self, even, because I think 14 is like the shittiest age for kids.
It's a rough one.
It's a
Yeah.
like freshman year of high school.
I don't think it matters boy or girl. That's a tough age.
That's a tough age.
A whole lot of changing going on.
My oldest is going to be a junior this year, right? And it's still tough.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like if you sat down next to your 14-year-old self, are you proud of who you are today?
Oh yeah, where I'm at today.
Why?
Yeah. Well, growing up, I mean, I had a everybody has, like their dreams and stuff like
Sure.
that. But if you would have went and talked to me in high school and talked to me about joining the military, I would have told you to get lost. I had no interest in it at that time of my life, but I also lacked a lot of guidance. I knew right from wrong and stuff like that. And my parents instilled that in me, and my father especially instilled a heck of a work ethic in me. There was racehorse business is pretty treacherous.
Oh my God, I couldn't imagine.
And most of those days started about 4 a.m. and don't end until about midnight. So add up how much sleep you're going to get. And that was, most of my summers and stuff like that. But what I think I did lack, not anybody's fault, but what I needed was, I guess some like a left and right lateral limit is what we would call it in the Marine Corps, as far as like when you're shooting on a range. But like, I guess like bumpers, if you're bowling, you raise the bumpers. Like I had the work ethic, but I just needed something to kind of keep me in line.
Sure.
And I fell into it by accident. I never thought that I would be joining the military. I didn't join until I made the decision to join at 20, and it was a little bit of a process for me to get in. I ended up breaking my hand, so I didn't get to go to boot camp. So I actually turned 22 in boot camp.
Wow.
So I didn't get to go to boot camp. So I was 22 years old.
Practically an old man at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out of high school 4 years. I'm grown. But it was just one of those things where I ended up meeting a recruiter, talked to him. I was like blown away by, all the things that I had thought I knew about the military, or even more precise, the Marine Corps. I was wrong, obviously. And I was like, wow, like this is a way that I could see myself growing and becoming more disciplined. And I saw the guidance that I needed. And luckily at 22 years old, I made a good decision. And now I would say that I'm proud of where I'm at now. By no means do I consider myself successful at all, but I see what the Marine Corps has done for me is if I have my goals, and I do have some life goals, I can see them happening, because it's given me systematic ways to I guess chase your goals, to put them into steps, to where I feel like a lot of people, and especially a lot of young people, and this is what I would talk to them when I was recruiting about, is like everybody has goals. You could talk to any kid in high school and they all want something.
Yeah.
Right? They want something out of their life, but if you ask them what are they doing to get there, or how do you get there, that's when you'll stump them. They might have a generic answer that they've come up with, right. But if you dive in and try and get detail out of them, they don't have it. And I was the exact same way. But now, in the military, everything's very systematic. In the Marine Corps, times 10. And it just kind of teaches you, like, if you have goals, if you want to do something specific with your life, you need to create a system that's going to get you there. It just smooths out the path.
I like that. And it's funny because this generation, literally, if they get stumped, they can go to Chat GPT and knock it out.
Oh, this generation is, oh my gosh. And I'm a part of it. I'm in that generation. You know, I don't know what I am, Gen Z or something like that.
I have
I
no
don't know.
idea
I'm
what
like,
I am.
I'm a 90s kid, you know, I'm
Are you-
93,
no,
93.
nice.
But we are in the age right now where it's instant gratitude for everything. Like,
Gratification.
yeah, instant gratification. That
Yeah,
wrong
I
word.
was gonna say gratitude. Really? Who are you?
No, instant
That's lame.
gratification. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
these they can, you know, oh, your boyfriend broke up with you. A girl can take a picture of herself and put it on Instagram, and in 20 minutes she has 100 likes, and all these dudes telling her she's cute. You know, and then if you want something on Amazon, you can click the buy now button, and it'll probably be at your house tomorrow. We want it, and we want it fast, and we don't see a reason to have to work for it if it just happens like that.
You sound like my grandfather.
But it's true, and that might work for a lot of things. But anybody that I've ever met that was truly successful, even if it appeared to happen overnight, it didn't. There was a path that they followed that probably was tiresome at many times, and they had.
How old are you now?
I'm 29. I'll be 30 this year.
So 30. So I was 38 when I had my career change into real estate, and I'm 46 now. And so in
38 when you did it? No way.
Yeah,
I thought you were younger. Wow.
I was 38. I had my third child, and I literally said, I'm done with aerospace. Done. And I was managing a CH-47 helicopter line in Destin, Florida. Like, we lived on the beach and everything. It was crazy.
Yeah, terrible life.
It was. That's so terrible about it is that it was so draining, and so it was not my passion.
Yeah.
And when I found that I can own business, be my boss, take my drive, and try to make it into something with me being the controller, if I'm actually in control or not, who knows? But I guess my point in saying all that, at 30 years old, I want you to be aware of something. I'm going to speak wisdom into you for a second.
Come on.
The idea of you being behind the power curve is absolutely ridiculous right now. I need you to put that out of your head. You are successful now, by the way, and you're probably further ahead than most, but who cares? Who really cares if you're comparing yourself to anybody else? If you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm good, man, let's roll. And I'm up at 6 a.m., I'm in the gym, I do my thing, I go to Arlington, I come home, I do a podcast, I hug my kids, we start over tomorrow, right? Those are all things that nobody else has done. But if you're sitting around comparing yourself to some other ultra successful person, you constantly feel that way. What happens in your 40s compounds what you're doing right now. So at my 30s, I'm paying vehicles off. I'm worried about mortgage rates. I'm barely saving any money. You know, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And in your 40s, it compounds. And it goes, because you made the decisions that you made in your 30s, your 40s and 50s will be stellar. And that's what's happening with me right now, is watching all the fruits of all that work has really come around. And I'm not saying it braggadociously.
No.
I honestly want you to feel the same thing I do. So go ahead and keep going.
Well, you're saying exactly kind of what I meant, is just any person that I view as a successful individual. And people are going to define success in many different ways. To me, if you are enjoying your life, you've found something that earns you an income that supports yourself and your family, and you're truly happy. Yeah. That's success, in my opinion.
You know what's interesting? Let me push on that a little bit. Let's see if I can change your mind on happiness. Are we really called to be happy? Because as a Marine, I think there's a level of service before self, and if service is before self, there's not much happiness in that. You're constantly, there's a policing that happens all the time in that space.
Balance.
It's a huge balance.
Yeah.
So, but if you have a passion, regardless of happiness, your purpose isn't your purpose is the reason you're showing up. It's not happiness. So
purposeful.
It's purposeful.
Okay.
I would consider I would consider looking at that, because if you ever hear anybody say I'm happy, crap, that's not real.
Purposeful life.
It's purposeful.
It's a way better definition. I like that.
Yeah, I think I see you and I see the definition being fulfilled, but how you say it really matters to me, because if you're not passionate about what you do, like, do you have any inkling about what you want to do after military is over?
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
So this has been something that I need to stop bumping this mic.
It's okay.
This has been something that I've been kicking around for the past probably a couple of months now. In 2025, my contract's up. and I'm like 99% sure I'm gonna part ways. Not because I'm done with the Marine Corps or anything like that, but I think it's gonna benefit my family if I part ways from at least the active duty side.
2025.
2025 February. So I got
Wow.
um,
Can you pull
really
pension of any kind out of that?
disability.
I see. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, if I stay in reserves, which I'm straddling that idea right now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not.
It's a lot of time to give up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, I just got to do what's best for me. So
Oh,
I you know,
100%.
and I'm not by no means, you know, I don't feel like I'm old or anything like that. I got many where I'm not going to retire at 40 anyways. Even if I could, I wouldn't do it. I'd still have to have something in my life to
Agreed.
do. But I've been kicking around the idea of real estate for probably the past like year or two. And I don't think I've ever told you that before.
You have not. And
well, you told me to tell you something you didn't know about me today.
That's
so
true.
I was like,
That's
that's one thing. I've been kicking it around for probably about a year or two now. And just recently I learned about a program the Marine Corps officers called Skill Bridge. It's awesome. I don't know if you know what it is.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
I don't even know how I didn't know about it when I was recruiting. I wish I would have, because it's a great selling tool for
all
the
you
Marine Corps.
recruiters out there. This is fantastic.
Holy cow. I mean, for your last 6 months, it sounds too good to be true. You can literally part ways, go live anywhere in the country you want to live, find an industry, a job, whatever you want to get into. You can do an internship, you can do whatever, and you can go learn that job for your last 6 months in and still draw your military paycheck. Now, whatever company you go work for, they can't pay you. They can't pay you a dime. So it's a win-win for both sides. You're going to go and get to learn the job or the field that you think you want to go into. Maybe you don't, maybe you do, or maybe you find out you don't. But either way, you're going to get to go learn that job and learn that industry, get in that realm at least, and
Time out. Hang on.
pull your paycheck.
Why does the military do that?
It's for transition. I think that's where the program came about. The military probably 20, 30 years ago made a big effort towards people transitioning back to civilian life.
That would be the time that I left the military.
Yeah.
2023 is exactly 20 years when I left.
Yeah. I mean, they must have looked back and said, hey, we didn't do these guys fully justified. And they have, I mean, just to get out nowadays, you got to go through all these courses and have all these things afforded to you. That's some people take advantage of them and some don't. Well, I fully plan on taking advantage of this program if it's allowed it to me. It's something that has to be signed off by your commanding officer at the time.
What inside of real estate do you want to do?
So, and that's still something I'm kicking around. I think I'm going to try and, within that 6 month time frame, I'll try and get my license, or if not before. I need to finish. I'm going to college. I'm going to start back up next month. I'm about probably 90 credits into my bachelor's. So
no kidding.
I'll knock that out.
What I got out of 120? Y'all, I'm not kidding. I had no idea he was going to say that. Like, I'm trying to steer my Outpaceme away from real estate a little bit, and you like sucked it.
I wasn't going to talk about it.
That's so funny. All right, so what? Like, no, tell me what. Like, you know what I'm thinking right now.
Well, I know I need to learn a lot about the industry. I need to learn what I want to do within it, because my main intentions of doing it is because something I learned during recruiting duty is I really liked helping people. That was my biggest, I guess.
Watching people win, dude. It's
it was awesome. I mean, I loved seeing, because the area I was in was pretty rural, and the income level was just extremely low out there. So I mean, I've been to some kids' houses that didn't have floors in their rooms, and holes in their floors and stuff like that, and it pulled them out of a situation, give them a life that, like, hey, I know in a couple of years you're gonna be living like me. And
standards,
that's awesome. That I know I pulled them out of a terrible situation. There's lots of people that, parents are on drugs and stuff like that, and they're just born into a real bad situation that they didn't ask for or deserve. And so that was really cool. And I was like, what's a way? And I realized at one point in time, the past couple of years, I need to make an exit from bouncing around. My family's bouncing around too much as far as moving.
I hear you.
And so, I was like, well, what's the one way I can, allow myself to have the freedom to.
You realize the similarities, right?
Yeah.
You're looking in a mirror right now, which is really weird. And unfortunately for you, this is horrible. This is hideous. No. So, yeah. Okay. So 7 years military, 13 years engineering and aerospace, 20 years total in aerospace, 38 years old. So I went in when I was 18, got out when I was 38, right? Out of aerospace, and went into real estate. And the reason I did is because my family was moving every year or every 2 years, probably an average. And I would buy a house wherever I went. And that's kind of what kicked off I might be able to do this. I might be able to kick this off and be okay.
Yeah. And I wish I would have known that, like, or had somebody before I came here, before I met you, because you were the first person that, like, told me that. And I was like, oh, gosh.
Dude, I do this thing with my people. I say, you're never going to sell your house. You're going to buy this house and I'm going to do everything in my power to get you to never sell this house. I remember when you came to me and you were like, do you think that I'll make a little money on this property over the time period of my stint here?
We were at Rule the Rooster, that chicken place.
Yeah. And you were like, what, 2.5 years?
Yeah, I think at that time I thought I was only going to be in Texas another 2 years.
And in that 2 years, y'all, it went like gangbusters. Like you couldn't have hit it better.
I lucked out completely. I mean, obviously you know, I had you were like, yeah, you'll do all right, but I don't think either one of us could have predicted how well anybody was going to do around that time.
What you didn't know is I was buying houses the same time you were. And I was hedging the bet pretty hard. So when you came to me and said that, I'm like, look, I don't have a crystal ball, but your realtor's buying houses.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, here's why I'm doing it. And you're like, I don't see where we can lose. So we got that house and we got it for less than asking price. I remember that. And then because the appraisal came in stupid low, and it shouldn't have.
Good old VA appraiser, gotta love them.
Those poor sellers
come in and lowball them.
They did. You got like an extra 5 or 10.
I didn't pay him to do it. I swear.
No, that would have been illegal.
Right.
So you've seen what it looks like to have equity wealth, asset wealth. And here's something you got to remember. The man with the most assets in the end wins. So when you go to a bank and you say, give me a line of credit, they're going to go, how many assets do you have? They're going to ask for how many vehicles you have. Are they paid off? How many homes you have? Are they paid off? And they don't really care about the whole, what you owed. I mean, there's a ratio there, but realistically, if you were to sell your properties right now, how much positive flow would you have? Right? And that's a magical equation. If you have 10 homes by the time you're 55 and they're passively paying you every single month, and there's an equity game inside of that too, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't need to be 100 homes like you see some people do.
Yeah. No.
It can be 5, to be honest with you. And you can leverage them. Dude, I'm so excited about this whole thing. But okay, let's get back to you. I'll try not to go and plan your whole life now. Okay, so what does it look like? Where are you going to be? Where do you, let's paint the pic. This is a visionary exercise that I do with coaching. Give me intricate details of where you want to be with your family. City, state.
Texas.
Texas.
We're staying in Texas. Ideally, really, I mean, just somewhere I want to get out in a good neighborhood. I mean, I like this area. I like down in the Bolivar area where we have some family down. We like it down there. Haley's also in nursing school, so it's also going to depend on that. She'll be finished here in about a year or so.
Good for her.
Maybe a little over a year.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Yeah, she's been killing it, really. I'll brag on her here in a minute, but yeah, it's going to depend on that too. We are definitely in line as far as what we want. We definitely want to get out of the city. We want to find, a house with some land and all that kind of stuff, and then kind of start settling down a little bit and actually.
So if you get into real estate in the time frame that I think you're going to get into it, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And there couldn't be a better person to do it. The big thing that you've got to consider is the amount of runway that you want to pave. And it's got to be a big B-52 runway, which means you got to save a lot of money. You got to be fiscally responsible between now and 2025.
Yep.
And I'm hoping you're there now.
That's what I've been on. That's what we've been really focusing on is, if we're going to make this transition, we've got to be ready for it. It's going to be a big one.
The amount of runway you're going to need is more than ever.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you right now, with the amount of stuff that's going on, it's not going to be this like what this was, what real estate like this, like what real estate was in 2017 is not what
Not
it
the
is
same.
today. And dude, 2017 was not bad.
Right.
2015 is when I guess got my license or whatever. 2016, 2017, 2018. I watched this evolution, and I joined coaching I think in 2017, and I got on board with my mentors that showed me the real way of doing this. And like it was just game changer. So I want you to wrap your head around two things. How big a runway can we pave, and how I need to be able to allocate in my budget a coach. And it's not me. It's not going to be me. I'm just telling you, like, that's a game changer, and it will always be there. You will never not have a coach for the game that you play. And I mean, you're in baseball all the time now. You see this.
Oh yeah.
You imagine not having a coach and let those kids go crazy?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm actually like assistant coaching for Haven's team. Yeah, and they're a bunch of 5-6-year-olds. Yeah, they are.
So that's what realtors look like with no coach. They're literally running to third first. Okay? Like
yeah.
you getting a license means
That's a good
nothing. It means nothing to get a license. It's the practical application of it's like going through basic training and then or boot camp, and then going into hot training. You don't know jack until you hit that airplane.
Right on, yeah.
And oh, dude, I remember coming out of tech school. I went to Shepherd Air Force Base, which is in Wichita Falls, and we were working like on A-10s and just ground aircraft that are like everything's right there. And then I got put on C-17s, and dude, the first time they opened up the tail, and I had to crawl all the way up to the tail to the top and open the aft panel on the elevator, and like. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And I'm looking at, 60 feet to my death. And I'm like, this was not what I signed up for. Oh my God. And then you do it and you're like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was pretty dang cool.
Yeah.
So anyways, all right. So I'm excited for you, man. I want to be there so bad. I want to insert myself into your life for that. But
well, you're not going anywhere.
No, I'm not. But I want you to know you do have somebody that ultimately cares for you and your family.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
I appreciate that a lot.
Ultimately. Like, no, I can't explain this. You winning outside of the military is a big deal for me because it's such a big jump.
Yeah. I'm already nervous. But like I said, I realized it. I'm glad that I started to, I guess, prepare for it. A couple of things that's going to really help me out is, for one, that skill bridge. That's a game changer. The fact that I can pull a paycheck for 6 months and just learn,
I still can't figure out why. I mean,
that's crazy.
Mental stability. I mean,
I guess.
I don't. Okay.
I guess for maybe just statistics, because
dude,
it used to not be so good. Now they've gotten a lot better, and it's because of things like that. So maybe that's why they,
Good job.
It's great.
Good job getting
sounds
that out.
too good to be true. And I read the whole order on it, and it is too good to be true. But
okay. Well, we will keep tabs on you for where you are in your runway. Now that I know that, Haley, what's going on with her besides us? I mean, like, it's enough that she's going to school and full-time mom.
Yeah. She's been going to school, so she's actually waiting right now to see if she got accepted to the nursing program that she's been working her butt off to get to.
Isn't that like the most annoying thing? How hard that is to get into?
Yes, I didn't realize it was this hard to get into. I'm proud of her. Honestly,
Me too.
She's
Haley,
been busting her butt. I mean, she wakes up at 4 a.m. is working on school. Probably working on school right now, getting the kids to bed, stuff like that. I mean, she's nonstop with it. But I will say it's paid off. She's made the highest grade, I think, in her even her counselor told her that, for her HESC, which is like the entrance exam, she made the highest score that I think that counselor said she had seen in the last couple of years as being a counselor there. So they were asking her like all the prerequisites and stuff. She's like, okay, what'd you make on your HESC? She said, I think she made a 95.6. I might be wrong. Hopefully not. But I know it's a 95. And she was like, oh, wow, that's the highest grade. You're good there. And I was like, that's incredible. I mean, a lot of people fail that their first time. So I was really proud of her for one time, one and done. Knocks it out. She's had the highest GPA in every single one of her classes.
Maybe we should have had her on instead of you.
Yeah. Honestly, she I don't.
Just kidding, bro.
But I mean, no, seriously, she's been killing it. It's been awesome.
Haley can
really
come
inspiring.
Here, by the way. She totally can.
She should.
Would she do that? You think she would?
Yeah, maybe. Sure. Yeah. She'll
Haley,
definitely do it.
your husband just signed you up. Since she's like going all in on stuff that is like out of her comfort zone and growth mode, what are you gonna like? What have you said no to recently that you wish you would have said yes to? Can you
Like
think?
to her?
No, not to her, just in general. Because people that say yes to everything generally move the needle a little bit faster.
Mm.
Is there anything that you've like looked back on and like I'll give you one for me recently. I had a friend of mine reach out to me. He's like, "Hey, you want to go to the Appalachian Trail again?" I'm like, "I don't even need to think. Yes." Like I've got if you notice, I got a hammock in my front yard, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, "No, yeah, I'm ready." And the second I said yes, I got like 4 contracts that show up on top of the date that we're supposed to go. I'm like, "Dude, I can't represent these people and go to the AT. It's not possible."
Right.
And I'm like, I hate to say this, but I've got to now say no 2 days later. And he's like, bro. And he's got his own airplane. And I'm like, this would have been epic. Like, we could have flown across country. We could have just broed it up, gotten to the woods. I think he wanted to bring his kid. And, just it was going to be awesome. And then I let work just like stampede that out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I feel like I should, you know? But it's like in 2 weeks and I've already said no. But that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, have you not enacted?
Honestly, I can't think of anything that I haven't done lately. I've been more on the other end of the spectrum. I know recently Haley brought it to me that she wanted to go stay since this summer. She's not gonna have any classes. She's basically just waiting to start her program.
Right.
She said she wants to take the kids down to Bolivar where her dad lives and they're gonna learn to work on sailboats. Her dad has a sailboat.
So awesome.
Like he has a big one. It requires a crew. And she's like, he's asking me if I want to go down there and like learn it this summer, and we maybe go on some trips or whatever. And I was like, yeah, like do that,
Why would
And
you
she's
not?
like,
Yeah.
well, you have to work and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, think about it like this: if you don't go spend that summer with your dad working on sailboats and bring the kids with you and all that kind of stuff, like doesn't that sound like something you're gonna look back on and be like,
So
always wish you would have done it?
that's why I think I gravitated to you because there's things in your life, and I'm trying to pull it out of you because you're being super modest about a lot of this stuff. There's something different that both you and Haley have that are next level. Like you're running a heavy pace, and you're doing a lot, and you've not ever let up the whole time that I've known you, like ever. So it will be 3 months between texts with us sometimes, and it is absolutely not because you don't care. It is simply just because we're
busy
as hell. And that's 2 of us, right? So I honestly respect so much of what you're doing. If you have advice for people coming up right now, is military still an answer?
Oh, 10 out of 10. Yes. I think, well, it's not going to be for everybody, but I will say 80% of you, it will be. And I honestly believe that. I've spent a lot of times in high schools as a recruiter and just talking to today's youth.
Right.
And the things that they lack, the things that they struggle with are basics of what the military teaches you, just the basics. And so, it's like this: the communication. How important is communication in today's world? It's
everything.
It's everything. I mean, if you can't communicate, then you're gonna have a hard time getting anything in life. And I always tell the story in particular. And it was a young man in class one day. I remember I was doing a presentation, and he stayed after, but he had his headphones in, like AirPods, and he was just sitting in the desk after the class bell had rung, and he wasn't getting up. And I walked up to him and I was like, "What's up, bud? What's your name?" And I mean, he looked at me like I had just like slapped his mother or something like that. And he was like, and he pulls out his AirPods, and I thought he misunderstood what I said. And he was like, yes. And I said, "What's your name, bud?" He was like, and I'm not going to say his name, but I just talked to him, and he didn't know how to handle that. And I think that's a lot of today's youth. They just, maybe it was COVID, maybe it was growing up spending too much time on tablets and screens instead of going outside. I don't really know what it is, but I know there's certain things that they're just lacking. And I think the military, I mean, you're gonna learn those, and then you're just gonna build on those basics the whole time you're in, whether you do 4 years, 10 years, doesn't really matter.
That's really. So you're telling me that the military basically recreates a standard for living, and they can knock it out in a matter of months. At least get them in the direction of, here are all the expectations. I think about that. If I was the military trying to, with that scenario you just gave me,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when we went through, it might have broken those people.
Oh yeah, 10 out of 10. But that's what needs to happen, doesn't it? Sometimes you got to get broken down to get built back up, and I think that's what it. I mean, I don't know that I ever like broke, but I know during times.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, your spirits are low, you're tired, you're hungry, you've got what seems to be an impossible task ahead of you, whatever it may be. Most of the time, something, hiking with a bunch of weight on your back, whatever. Those are the moments that breaks you typically. But when you're surrounded by, hopefully, a platoon full of your brothers that you've grown a bond with that are going to push you, and then you get the job done, that's something that changes you. I think you start to see the world a little bit differently. You start to you just reinvent yourself as a man or a woman, really. And I think that's what a lot of today's society needs. But we can't keep softening our military. That's the main thing. We have to keep these standards and these traditions that made it what it is, and then give it to them because they deserve it.
Yeah.
They deserve exactly what we got. They don't deserve a watered down version of it. They've already had a watered down life. They went through school.
We can't afford to have a watered down version of it.
Exactly. So that's the main thing is these kids that are growing up, they've already had a watered down life. They're growing up on screens and tablets and lack of communication. Parents can't be parents. They have to work 2 jobs to afford the home. They've already had a watered down life. They didn't get what we got. So don't give them, if they are doing something to make themselves better, don't give them a watered down version of it. Keep it what it is.
I think that's good parenting advice. Do you still stay in touch with people from boot camp?
A couple of them, yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah, through like Facebook and stuff like that.
I've never found my people.
Most of them are out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. I think I was in a platoon full of. I think we had 52 guys by the time.
That's about what we had.
Yeah, we started with about 70, and we graduated 52. I think I might be like one of 2 or 3 that's still in.
What?
Yeah, the rest of us.
Out of 52 people, bro.
Only 16% stays in. That's the
past the first.
Yeah, past the first enlistment.
God.
16% will stay in and do the rest, and that's how it's supposed to happen, right? The military in general will get smaller at the top, right? I think a lot of people get what they came for after that first 4 years, whether it be college, a new sense of purpose, whatever it was.
Foundations away from tablets.
Exactly. They got what they wanted. They got, a lot of times I tell everybody it's a story to tell. You got your whatever, your grandpa's story, so be it. When you're old, you're going to be telling some sort of stories. You might as well try and make them as interesting as possible if you're going to make people listen.
I told him before we got on, I said, here's the thing. You just say what you want your grandchildren to see in the future. So whatever you don't want to, you know where I'm going with that. He hid the tattoo, if you noticed that. No, I'm just kidding. So that's interesting. I've often wanted to go back and talk to those guys. Like see where they are, what they're doing. I mean, there's a couple of people that went through Shepherd training with me that are on Facebook just because I know who they are, and they actually got stationed with me. One guy, he was in the news 2 years ago. He was on leave from like 22 years service or whatever, and went and worked for a contractor that for C-130 aircraft in Australia, putting out the fires, and he's the one that went down with the plane. Him and 2 other people.
Oh man.
Yeah. So if you go back on my Facebook a couple of years ago, his name is Rick DeMorgan. God rest his soul. But he was in training with me, and stationed with me the whole time, and so we stayed in touch for that whole time period. Had 2 kids, a wife in Florida. I mean, it was just so sad.
Yeah.
But
that's tough.
I've
had similar situations.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I was going. Is I'm sure you've had that same thing.
C-130s was my favorite aircraft I've ever worked on. That's my favorite platform.
Why?
Everybody gives the same thing. F-18s were cool. They're jets, but that's a one. You got to be the pilot to ride. I mean, I was just a mechanic, or I really just worked on the life support systems that were embedded in the aircraft.
Oh my God, life rafts.
Life rafts, oxygen systems, all that kind of stuff. But I mean,
that was the bane of my existence.
If you're not a pilot, you don't get to fly in an F-18 or F-35. But on a C-130, we can ride. And I may or may not have flown one unofficially at one point in time. It's they were my favorite aircraft to work on. But during the time I was within the C-130 community, which was 2017 to early 2021, so about 3.5 years. There was, I want to say we had three mishaps. Where, I mean, it's just one of those things. The C-130 is not a jet. A jet, whenever you go down in a jet, my job is to pack those parachutes and those automatic ejection seats and stuff like that. Yeah. So you can be completely knocked out in a jet, and 9 times out of 10, that jet's going to save your life for you.
Sure.
It's going to eject you through the canopy. It's got the parachute on top of your head with the big spike that's going to shatter the canopy. You're going to go up in the air and you're going to float down. If you land in the water, you've got a seat with rations and a life raft under you that'll automatically inflate. You've got a life preserver unit, an LPU that'll automatically actuate in water. You're going to be good, most likely. Maybe banged up a little bit,
sure.
A little bit of a headache, but you're going to make it, right? C-130 goes down. I mean, there's 5 parachutes on board, but usually they spin. Mm. So you can't get too much,
What were the failures? Do you remember?
I think all 3 of them, the investigations are still out.
Seriously?
Yeah. Maybe one of them came back, but I don't remember exactly what it was. It was, I mean, most of the time it's going to be, I hate to say it, but somebody not doing their job.
Yeah. Were they strict with you guys? We call them technical orders, TOs. Did you guys have books to go by all the time?
Yeah, they're publications.
Were they tablets or?
No, we had no, I saw the Air Force. They had iPads. I used to be jealous.
Sorry, I was about to poke fun. We didn't have those, by the way.
No, I know, not when you're in, but they did have them.
Chiseling them at that time.
Y'all probably had what we had, because that's usually how we get our stuff, is hand-me-downs.
That's true.
It's the tough books.
Yeah, the tough books.
Yeah, that's what we had.
Yeah.
You were fancy if you had the touchscreen ones. They were cool. I actually liked the tough books though, because you couldn't break them. I mean, they were tough.
God, those mechanics, dude, they were so rough with everything.
Yeah. I think they would lost a lot of money if they would have given the Marines iPads. Let's be honest.
God.
I mean, there's a reason we didn't have them. Everybody used to complain about it, but I'm like, guys, come on, y'all know why we don't have those.
You guys are a bunch of assholes. I used to get on my plane. So I got stationed in Sigonella during 9/11. I was actually going downrange with all my bags, and they stationed me there. And like all I did was catch airplanes for that whole time, right?
And that's Italy, right?
And that's Italy, yeah. And I lived on the side of Mount Etna for 8 months or whatever. It was amazing. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Meanwhile, all my friends are getting 70 cents a day downrange. And C-17s can land in austere runways, so you basically have a tent. That's basically it. But anyways, we I don't know where I was going with that story. I have no idea. Sigonella, downrange. Italy.
Dope.
I hate that. See, this is what happens when you get old. You just like get caught up in the moment. You're like, I got to tell this story, and then you don't know why you told it.
It was super good.
It was. That was a grandpa moment. Congrats, kids. So we would do a lot of maintenance on those types of airplanes, and they had, oh my God, they had the TO box where it was a box in the back of the plane, and you could pull all the publications out, and you'd have to keep them up to date with all the releases. And
y'all probably had paper manuals.
We had paper manuals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They did away with most of those by the time I was
really
in aviation. Yeah, we had everything on a computer, everything on a tough book, or
You're giving kids hell for looking at tablets, and here you guys are. Beep boop boop.
Yeah, pulling up your computer. How do I do this? Yeah. Personally, I would prefer them to be on paper, but I guess
they were pretty easy, and I memorized the crap. You never say that in front of.
Supposed to say that, but
I'd say that, but I read them so often.
Yeah,
and
you're not supposed to memorize it, but you're supposed to read it every time you do the job. Okay,
humans can be humans.
Yeah, that's how a brain works,
Okay, well, I'm super stoked to see where you're gonna go. All right, I know that your future is gonna be bright, ridiculously. Okay. This is not a time to take your foot off the gas. I actually need you to pick up the pace a little bit.
We're pressing on it.
I want you to physically outpace me. What's your run right now? What per minute mile? What is it?
Ooh, that's a bad. I haven't been running. I tore my
So
my
you can keep
tendon.
up with me?
Yeah. But I tore my tendon in my knee, and I've been trying to let that heal up a little bit. It's been about almost a year now. And so
Oh
I'm
my
about to
gosh.
get back into it. It wasn't super bad. I don't remember the exact percentage of the tear they said. But it's the tendon that connects your kneecap to your shin. And yeah, it was
Just painful.
very,
Yeah.
especially when it first happened, it was real bad. Any little bump. I remember one time we were, I think we were at the stockyards out. Me and Haley were out having a night out or whatnot, and
Rock climbing the bulls.
something. This dude walked by me, and no, we were dancing. That's what it was. We were out dancing, and I think a couple bumped into us, but one of their knees hit mine. And, I'm not a confrontational person at all, but I was about ready to punch somebody. It hurt so bad.
Yeah.
I was like, it wasn't anybody's fault. It's just they happened to get it right on the spot. And that's whenever I realized, I was like, I need to go to the doctor. This isn't. And I had been probably after a month of injuring it. And just, when I was younger, it used to just get better.
Oh, don't even.
When I was like 21, 22 years old, I could just ignore crap and it would go away. And it didn't work out for me. So I went to the doctor and sure enough had the imaging and whatever, it'll heal up or not. They said there's not really a surgery that they can do right now. So
You probably don't want it anyways.
I don't. I've had three surgeries already since I've been in.
Really?
I'm done.
Dude,
done
your
healing.
disability is gonna be dope.
I'm done healing. Yeah.
Congrats on no property taxes.
Yeah, there it is.
Well, I want to say thanks for coming on. This has been a really good session.
Thanks for inviting me.
I have thought much of you over the years. I love watching what you've got going on. You're a fantastic dad. You've got some serious drive inside of your business. And, I'm here to support you. And I'm not saying that because people are listening. I want you to hear the fact that, I want to see you win. I really do. It floats my boat to see my friends get ahead in life.
Hell yeah. Appreciate that.
I think the world of you, man. And do me a huge favor, sell your wife on getting here on the podcast. I think she might be better than you.
Yeah, I'll see. I'll put on my selling shoes and see if I can make that happen.
I love it, man.
See what I can do.
In the meantime, you guys, thanks for watching Outpace Me once again. Chad Mathis is the guy to watch, and who knows? We might be business partners here in the near future from the sounds of it. But you guys continue to support, subscribe, and we obviously love you guys, and thank you for putting up with us. So take care.
Done. Dude, you got that. That's so professional. I like it.